Today I want to talk about a concept that I feel has made me 10 times better at photography. I've wanted to talk about this for a while now, but I've just struggled to put it into words. This is a concept that I feel has made me not only a much better photographer, a much better artist in general, but it's also made me enjoy the act of photography, the process of creating art, so much more. It's allowed me to carve out a niche for myself without limiting myself too much, without putting myself into a box. And nowadays, almost everything that I shoot, whether it's photos, whether it's film, whether it's videos, whether it's even Instagram Reels, it's all driven by this concept. And that concept is what I call shoot what you feel. Let me explain. In other words, instead of capturing a subject directly, whether it's a landscape, whether it's a person, whether it's a bug, instead I try to capture a photo that makes the viewer feel something. Here's an example of a series of photos in that spirit. See if you can understand what I mean. What you'll notice about these, or this concept in general, is that you can use several different tools to arrive at the same result. This makes photography less boring and repetitive, and it makes you feel a lot more creative. Kind of unlocks a new world of possibilities, so to speak. Now, it might be obvious to a lot of people. For me, it wasn't, because when I started photography, I had zero background in any kind of art, and everything seemed very, very technical. So when I bought my first camera, it was always about what settings do I use? How do I use settings? How do I edit photos? What do lenses do? Using a tripod, capturing a sharp photo of a landscape. Very technical things that you of course have to learn, because those are very important tools that are the basics of photography. But at the end of the day, they're very mechanical, very technical. But what I feel like I struggle with, and I feel like many people struggle with this, is once you learn those technical things, how do you progress to the next stage as an artist? How do we find our style? How do we create something that is a little bit more unique or true to ourselves? How do we avoid just doing the same thing everyone else is doing? How do we get to the next point from when we mastered the basics? How do we move on? I think the reason that is so hard is because there's no path to follow from that point on. You just kind of have to come up with it yourself, because you're moving on to a point that is uncharted territory. You're becoming your own artist, and there's no guide for your own life. You have to figure this out yourself. But each of us is unique in how we see the world, at least a little bit unique. So when we start drawing inspiration from our own feelings, and once we start approaching our work from the perspective of communicating a certain feeling or a mood, I feel like it opens up an entirely new world. Now, of course, I'm far from mastering this myself, but just changing my thinking to capturing a mood instead of capturing a subject directly, instead of being technical, being more abstract and drawing inspiration from myself, I feel like just when I start thinking this way, it's like the meme where you have the guy who climbs the mountain, and only once you've climbed that one mountain, you can see the other mountain that is much more tall in the distance. You couldn't see before you actually climbed the first mountain. But this second mountain is actually a lot more exciting to climb. And one of the things I love about photography, this art form in general, is because I'm sure once I climb the next mountain, there's another mountain that I couldn't see. It just keeps going and going and going. Now, for me personally, the feeling that inspires me the most is what I would call peaceful solitude. But really, I'm not even that good at explaining with words, because how can solitude or loneliness be peaceful and calming? But that's where the pictures or the videos come in. That's where I can use the art form to explain a feeling that I feel. And I'm very happy that when I share these photos or these videos, people seem to understand what I'm getting at and they relate to it, which kind of proves that it's working and that I'm onto something here. Now, of course, the feeling doesn't have to be the same for everybody. It cannot be the same for everybody. In fact, it's probably going to be a little bit unique for everybody. It doesn't have to be sad. It can also be happy. It's just going to depend on what you want to communicate. But I guess the point is, shoot what you feel. Try to capture a mood. This opens up a lot more possibilities, and I feel, just my opinion, that the best art comes from this kind of place. It comes from inside of us, and not just by basically be an AI robot combining different visual elements. It comes from having a soul and then putting that into your work. That's where it really comes from. And in the world where AI is starting to dominate the field of visual art, I feel like that is what we need. So yeah, I hope this video wasn't total phony nonsense and you actually got something out of it. I've been wanting to talk about this concept many times. I've tried to make videos about it, but every time that I watched the video back, it was just some nonsense that didn't really make any sense. So I hope it makes sense now, and thanks for watching.